Hello y'all, it's Valerie here at Pisces Mountain Farm, and I'm going to do a sort of garden tour. I'm just going to walk around and see what there is to harvest and maybe show you guys a few things that are particularly pretty right now. Alright, let's go. First thing I'm going to do is walk inside of my greenhouse and grab one of these baskets. A good tip is to go to Goodwill to source your wicker baskets. They are much cheaper than they are at a store. I got all 4 of these wicker baskets for cheaper than the price I would have bought for one at Walmart or on Amazon. We're in my bottom field right now, and since the last time we were down here, we've got this surrounded in deer netting. So I'm just going to take you for a walk through here and show you either things that look pretty or things that are in bloom or things that are ripe or almost ripe. I'm going to walk down here because something cool has been discovered.
Hiding.
Ooh, that is very pretty. Holy crap. Look at this dahlia. That is absolutely gorgeous. Definitely going to have to dig that one up this year.
Starting to open.
I don't know that I wonder if that's one of the seed dahlias I planted, because I don't remember having a dahlia tuber that was yellow that I've bought.
You got one now.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Okay, you saw me passing through this bed right here, and it is overgrown with weeds. But this year it's one of my favorite beds, quite honestly. It has all these beautiful Lysianthus, and I'm just letting them all go to bloom so that way I can save seeds. Let me just show you a few. I really don't know what varieties these are because my tags got mixed up, and I do have a list of the different varieties. However, I don't have them with me, so I can't tell you what they are. I just know I'm saving seeds, and I'm going to try to grow them from my own seed next year. I think this one right here is the Roseanne Black Pearl. It's the other ones that are kind of the yellows and the pinks that I have trouble figuring out what variety they are because I have a few mixes. Well, would you look at that? Let's see if you'll focus in there really well. There you go. Do you see them? Then there's this pink. I also have a few snapdragons right there blooming. This one right here is the Roseanne Brown. I know what that one is. I'm not quite sure which purple this is here. I know that it's not the same as the other purple one over there. And then my first green one of this year has opened. And I have some Sweet William and some various other things that I'm letting go to seed. And going to collect those too. Look at that peach. This right here is my glass gem corn. And it's just now starting to tassel and produce corn. But it's getting quite tall. I have this Brussels sprout that I just left as a trap plant because it's definitely trapping them all. Okay, let me grab my basket and see if I've got anything to harvest. This here, I don't remember the variety of cucumber. I got it from a local nursery, and I got it because it said it doesn't get bitter. There's one back in there. Do you see it? Alright, some of these peppers are just decorative This one right here, Sugar Rush Cream. Honestly, I'm not sure what color they should be when they're ripe, but they look like they're ripening to me. But I will go search the Googles and figure it out. Ready, and also have some serranos back there. I'm going to let these hot peppers get a little bit more mature before I pick any of them. Looks like I do have some banana peppers that are ready to be picked. Let's see. That looks like all for now. Let's see. I could let this get a little bit more mature, but it's got bug damage, so I'm just going to take it. It's got bug damage as well, but I'm going to cut it open and see if it's salvageable. Now I'm going to walk these tomato rows. This right here is called a Granny's Throwing, and it's starting to blush. I have this row right here that I never got the fencing up for, so I have a bunch of tomatoes growing on the ground, and they're kind of taking over. Ooh, what's this one? It looks like it's getting right. That is Rebel Alliance. It's not quite ready. You can see it's breaking color. This one is an impressive plant. Look how many blooms it gets. Let's see if you can focus in on that real quick. It's a multiflora variety, so instead of getting long trusses, it gets these clusters, and that's just, this right here is just one bunch. I don't know if you can see how many blooms are there. I don't know if my camera's focusing. That one is breaking color. It is a ponderosa. It's a red one, so it's not ready yet. This one right here is called a West Virginia 17. Apparently the West Virginia 17 is a tomato that is in development. And this is one of the generations from what I understand. I might have that wrong, but if I understood it correctly, that's what's going on with this tomato. All right, I'm going to walk up to the next row. Another West Virginia 17. And it's been broken open and has ants on it, and it's already getting mold. So I'm going to probably try to salvage this one as well. Okay, this is the Prairie Fire, and it's not quite ready, but this is a really good tomato, and it's semi-determinate, which means it'll produce a bunch all at once, and they'll ripen near the same time like a determinate. However, the way this differs from a determinate is it gets a little taller. It puts on a couple more rounds of blooms and will continue to produce not as heavily for the rest of the season. It'll put on blooms, but it won't be quite as heavy as that first initial flush of blooms comes. Let's see if anything else. Just a lot of unripe fruit. Okay. It looks like this Wagner's blue-green is starting to turn, and it's almost ready, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it and add it to my basket. And then this is a Dancing with Smurfs, and it's not quite ready, but due to pest damage, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull it. Oh, actually, that might be ready. I'm going to go ahead and pull it and take it inside. You can see I've got all kinds of fruit just everywhere down here. Okay, I think I'm done harvesting in this bottom part for now. This little bed that we just put in one of my recent videos is simultaneously grown over and simultaneously starting to take off. Finally getting blooms on some of the plants, but also need to weed out some thistles and some vines and stuff. Okay, I'm on this front garden around my house, and I'm just going to show you some pretty things as we walk up to my top garden. I have some purple heart there that I just have a piece that was broken off and stuck in the ground that's thriving. That is a volunteer snapdragon. That right there is some sedum that I got on sale for $1. This right here is a volunteer spilanthes or toothache plant. Some Bloody Mary nasturtium. This is a trailing nasturtium. I have some sea holly back there putting on a second flush of blooms, which is exciting. Look at all of these. I have some Empress of India nasturtium, and this thing, no lie, is so bright that it is hard to capture on film. I don't know how to describe the brightness. It looks fake, but it's not. Right here is, what kind of nasturtium are you? This right here is Tip Top Rose nasturtium, and it is also showing off. These are some petunias that I've grown from seed that's on their last life. A petunia that I bought from the store. This right here is the creme brulee calendula. There is blue butterfly pea growing back there, but I have not seen any flowers yet. But let me show you the craziest aphid infestation. I kind of just left this plant here. I don't know if it's going to get in close enough for you to see, but I kind of just left it there to be a trap plant. This was beautiful whenever it was still in its healthy growing state and not dying. This is cherry tart sedum, if I'm not mistaken. And this one right here is Sun Sparkler, and it gets kind of these pinkish peach ends. I have some prairie smoke that's not in bloom right now. This right here is the strawberry blonde. I'm wanting to think is the name, strawberry blonde marigold. This nasturtium right here is a unique kind of peachy tone, and oh, I've got some seeds. I'm wanting to think this is the Kroshka nasturtium. If it's not, I will correct it on the screen. And this right here is the same type. Now this one, I'm wanting to say, I think is called Gleam Mix, or maybe it's the Phoenix nasturtium. I will once again try to put it on the screen and change it if that's not what it's called. This right here is the Purple Empress nasturtium. I think that's what it's called. It's a new one they had at Baker Creek this past year. Once again, I will fix my mistakes. Sometimes I know more than what I think I do, and sometimes I don't. I'm kind of just pulling off these seeds here to save seeds. And just in case people don't know what these seeds look like, this is what the nasturtium seed looks like. And when it falls off readily, you can take it inside and let it finish drying. And it kind of looks like a little brain. And then whenever it's done, it looks like a little dried brain. So any of these that are obvious, I'm just picking. I'm not really doing too thorough of a job looking, but these ones were really obvious and I wanted to take them. And this is a trailing nasturtium as well. There are both bush types and trailing nasturtiums, and the name says it all. The bush types are kind of bushy, and the trailing are the kind that will trail over, or you can even like train them to climb, if I'm not mistaken. I just dropped those seeds in the basket with the rest of my produce. Okay, over here I have a borage, and it's It's a volunteer and it's doing quite well. As well as some black-eyed Susans and a green twister coneflower. And then that is a canna that I got on clearance. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and show you some herbs. This one right here is some thyme. This is spicy saber basil. This beautiful variegated plant right here is pineapple mint. I have some lavender right here. I have some oregano. This right here, with these pretty little leaves here, that's some St. John's wort. That one right there is mountain oregano. Let's go this way. This plant right here is some orange thyme that I grew from seed, so it hasn't had the opportunity to get very big yet, but it smells wonderful. Let's go down to this area. Here I have some sage. This right here is apple mint. And this right here is chocolate mint. I also have some bee balm. Some agastache. This is rose mint is the type. Down here, this all needs weeded, is motherwort, this plant right here. And this beautiful plant here, with these pretty little flowers, this is mountain mint. This right here is the bronze beauty calendula, and I don't know if it's picking up accurately because it just looks washed out on my screen like it's real pale. And then some good old bindweed threatening to choke everything. Okay, now I'm going to walk to my top garden up here. We're working currently to build the soil up in this garden, and at the beginning of the planting season there was a bunch of drought, and this bed up here didn't have mulch down like the bed that I just showed you down at the bottom. So while things are looking pretty good up here, they're not looking great, and I'm really happy of the progress I made though, because the soil is so much better. Next year it's going to be even better than that. But the tomatoes got planted a little later up here because I wasn't sure I was going to plant my tomatoes up here. And when I planted them, we got about 5 weeks of no rain, and I didn't get them mulched. So they just didn't grow as readily as the ones at the bottom, because the ones at the bottom already had mulch down when I planted them. I have some red sorbo buckwheat there, some red sorbo buckwheat. I have a watermelon and a calendula seed head that is full of seeds. Kind of see them falling out of there, so we'll take those. Just some more nasturtiums I put up here. I have various beans types that I'm letting all grow for seed. So for instance, this one right here is the Cherokee Trail of Tears, but I think it's intermingled with one of the ones right next to it. I have these pepper plants that all struggled, but this one right here is a mini bell pepper plant, and it's doing great. These ones are literally just now starting to grow, so I don't even know we'll get any fruit from them. I'm going to leave the rest of those to grow a little bit bigger. Then I have this corn here, and it was early glow sweet corn, and we did get a few ears, and it was very, very sweet. Amaranth. This right here is some broom corn. More amaranth. This was some blue corn that had spotty germination. It's the blue jade corn. So we did get one piece, but it was only partially germinated. Let's see, this piece looks ready. Let's see if it's blue. Now I don't expect this to be germinated all the way. It is in fact blue. Can you see that? Trying to get it to where the light's hitting it in a way where you can actually see the blue. Alright, let's taste it and see if it's sweet. That is actually pretty sweet, but it's not as sweet as the Early Glow sweet corn. And also, that probably wasn't completely ripe either, to be honest. I have a bunch of my variegated sweet peppers, a whole row of them. This end of my bed has struggled a lot, and I am going to get some fruit, but I didn't get nearly the fruit that I could have had this bed just had a little bit more nutrients in it. Yes, I'm getting very sweaty. It's very warm out here today. More of those same cucumbers. I just put some up here and some down there, and I've been steadily picking off of all of them. Variegated tomato that I don't know if it'll actually fruit. I did not get this row or that row of tomatoes fenced because they haven't grown enough, quite honestly. This bed really did struggle due to the lack of moisture. I mean, I hand watered, but I don't think it was sufficient enough. And it doesn't do the same thing as the spring rains. And it was right in our spring rain season. We went a whole 5 weeks without rain. And some of these are starting to finally grow and bloom, but I don't know if we'll have enough time to actually get any fruit from them. Here's my other row. And there's various types, and it's doing better. We've already harvested a couple of things off of these, but it is much further behind than the one down there. But if I inserted a picture and I showed you what it looked like at the beginning of the season, there's amazing growth. And it does, quite honestly, give me hope for next year, because this bed has been worked on, but we're also going to amend it more. And by next year, the stuff that we added this year will be broken down so much more, and I just feel like next year will be a much better crop, providing the weather doesn't mess it up. Over here on this row, I do have a Kajari melon. I see no fruit, and at this point, I think if it did get fruit, it wouldn't have time to ripen. These right here are some camellia flowered balsam that I grew from seed. You can see I have a row up against that fence there because it stays quite wet back there, and they don't mind the wet. This right here is a Vernus sage mixed tomato, and it fell off in my hand, so I'm going to put it in my basket. I'm not sure of the color because it was a mix, so I don't know if it's going to ripen to red or not. Some more of those flowers. Okay, it looks like this honeycomb hybrid tomato is about ready. And it looks like this sun gold is about ready. These ones, guys, aren't going to produce much. And this one right here is a purple bumblebee. And it's not quite ready yet, but it's breaking color. Alright guys, I know that was not an all-encompassing garden tour, and maybe it's not as satisfying as some of the garden tours where everything's big and lush and beautiful. Can you see that hillside behind me? That's what all this soil looked like 2 seasons ago. Rocky, dry clay, devoid of topsoil. Given what this looked like a couple of summers ago, I'm actually really happy with the progress this has made. And I know that it's not perfect, but it's a start, and the fact that the stuff that has grown up here has grown as much as it has is just just filled my heart. And also, I think had we not had that drought right at planting season, all of this stuff would be a little bit bigger than it is now. But I do appreciate you hanging out with me and looking at the parts of my garden that I'm most happy with, honestly, and most excited about for next year. This whole area, yes, the sun's in my eyes. This whole area back here is the future site of my hot tub. But in the meantime, I'm going to plant up here. I'm going to get the soil as good as I can, and I'm going to grow what I can. A lot of people in my region have been suffering the same thing. Their plants are behind, maybe not quite as much as mine, so it seems to be like this region, things are just a little behind. So I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and coming and looking at my garden. I truly appreciate it. I will see you next time. All right, guys, bye.